Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Farscape, Season 1, Episode 8, That Old Black Magic. John fights Krace whilst Zan fights a wizard.
And Rigel fights some sickness.
Yes, and Aaron and Dargo fight with their own stupidity.
Oh, I thought you were going to say fight with a wall.
Well, that'd probably be more fair. They weren't really being stupid, they were just applying the techniques they knew.
You gotta use the tool set you have.
To be fair, guns often can destroy walls. You use big enough gun.
I bet both of them have solved many problems with guns exclusively.
How did you find this episode?
I found it alright. Thought it was pretty good. Not fantastic.
What did you think of the sort of fantasy-esque vibe of this episode?
It was kind of weird, but I liked the departure. The set looked like something out of Mist, so that was strange.
Often when they have this sort of thing on sci-fi, they kind of just say, oh, it's super evolved. There's science reasons. And I guess there kind of were, probably, but they didn't. They outright say he's a wizard, sorcerer, or I can't remember what word they used.
What do you think about this one?
I don't know. I kind of like it. John gets to be the hero and the passionate, peace-loving human, which is a bit kind of bland. But then again, that doesn't really work, so that's good, I suppose.
I like that it doesn't work, and he can't break Krace's major bout of cognitive dissonance, how his brother was killed by what he calls a weak, inferior being. And even though he's being presented with all of these valid points and evidence, it doesn't matter. This is what I've decided is the truth, so I'm going to seek my revenge.
I don't know if it was even about revenge. He kind of agreed that John didn't do it. Or he said it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything.
Something must be done. It doesn't matter what it is for him, but for closure, it must feel like his brother didn't die for an arbitrary reason.
It's kind of like John didn't murder him, but he's still responsible, so he's going to pay either way.
One thing that really elevates this episode for me is the idea of Zan being a threat, how she's now unstable and powerful, because for so long we've seen her as this loving and compassionate person, and then now she's probably the most powerful and dangerous in their little crew. And so what does that mean going forward? Can she maintain her urges?
She's vaguely hinted at this before, that she had or has the capacity for violence, I guess.
But she seemed so in control. It never felt like that savagery, whatever it was, would surface. But now, that's all in question.
Yeah, she's lashing out at John with her pain-giving.
Pain vibes.
Ouch, they sting. It's interesting to ponder why she was imprisoned. But we don't know anything about Zan's history other than she became a priest whilst incarcerated. So seeing her flipping out and causing long distance harm through sort of psychic agony, that really calls into question, what did she do?
Yeah, it does. And the one part that really stuck with me along those lines is when she was confident that she could take out Moldus. She wasn't afraid of going after him. She knew that she could annihilate him.
If she had been using that kind of power indiscriminately, she could have killed a lot of people.
She was not under enough security if she did anything remotely resembling these powers, because that's crazily dangerous.
That's the old trick, though. You find God in jail and just get really serene, and they put you in low security. Well, I'm not saying that it's not genuine. I probably shouldn't have called that a trick.
It made me sad when she inflicted pain on the little beast, the two-headed beast. They're so vocal. It was uncomfortable. But it's supposed to be.
Poor little double bird. When she comes back in, I thought she was maybe going to kill the little thing.
I thought so too. I'm glad that didn't happen.
I did chuckle when she said or part of her, enjoyed torturing Rigel.
That gave me a chuckle as well. Of course she enjoyed that.
He's so annoying.
Why did he want to steal Crichton's shoes?
I think he has some kind of kleptomania going on.
Those can't sell for much on eBay.
You can put them on his feet. It look like when you get a little toddler walking around with their parents' shoes on.
He could use them separately as hats.
It's not exactly befitting a Dominar.
Maybe it's a sign of wisdom in Hynerian society.
I think he just took John's stuff because owning other people's things gives him a buzz.
Yeah, probably.
He doesn't really have much power over everyone. He's sort of the lowest of the crew. In that there's a lot of physical fighting and stuff going on. He doesn't get much chance to shine, and he's also kind of abrasive. So all he's got is taking other people's stuff.
That's so sad.
Rigel is kind of a depressing character. He doesn't have that many redeeming features.
All of the other crew members are vital and can contribute so much. They're capable beings. Meanwhile, Rigel is this sick little dude.
He has benefits. He's probably one of the smarter ones.
He can fit in small holes.
That's true. And he's quite practical in that when stupid things happen, he's often the guy that says, no, this is stupid, let's just leave. Of course, they don't, but...
There's no emotional obstacles in his decision making.
Yeah, which now that I think about it, probably isn't a good thing.
It leads to shoe stealing.
Guy's got issues. His funeral rites for John were pretty unimpassioned, if that's a word.
Would you expect anything different from Rigel?
It was better than I expected from Rigel. I would have just expected him to take the boots and leave.
Right. I would think he would go straight to the boot taking. Why even bother with any words? No one is there to witness it.
But that's just taking the boots would be stealing. What he did was act as a regent or donor, He performed a ceremony and legally claimed the boots. That's different. No, it is different.
It is different, yeah.
He's exercising his power as king in some sort of almost like a child would. John is a silly guy for listening to this jester dude at the start.
He's on an alien planet filled with aliens, and he's going to listen to some guy and go alone somewhere. It's a huge mistake that John shouldn't be making. But I could see how enticing that would be when this guy knew things he should not know, things you haven't told anyone. So you know there's some sort of power there.
He should have just assumed that the guy was psychic. Or telepathic, or had the ability to read his mind somehow.
That would have scared me off right there. I don't want to be around someone who can read my mind.
They could be quite dangerous.
This episode reminded me that Crace's brother died. I kind of forgot because that hasn't been central to the plots.
Crace was brought in for this episode to sort of put him forefront. They didn't want to create a show where the villain... the main characters are kind of the villains, but where the antagonists almost catch the protagonists, but never quite do it, because it makes them look incompetent.
Right.
So this was a way of having a bit of Crace and a bit of Crace v. John on the show without having to come up with a reason why the command carrier didn't catch them all. And for them to try out Crace as a character. Because he's only been in it for a couple minutes here and there before now. This is his first episode with substantial Crace content.
So if I don't see any more of him, then I'll know they thought he was crummy.
Correct. Did you think he was crummy or decent?
I thought he was decent.
I liked the bit with his brief life story.
We get some background on Crace, and then his motives are intensified. It did things the show needed to do for its antagonist.
His reaction to that was more interesting than the life story, because to be honest, it wasn't really even a story. It's more like a pamphlet or just a post-it note.
Take care of your brother.
Whoops.
And then the burning skeleton, that was gruesome.
With the previous episode and this one, this show has got quite gruesome. There's also John getting beat with a chain and having to undislocate his arm, which, by the way, is very Hollywood. In that you can undislocate your arm by ramming it back into socket, but that doesn't then mean your arm is fine. Still almost comparable to a broken shoulder.
Not if you're John.
Well,
on his steady diet of space food, space cubes, I forgot what he's eating.
Food cubes.
Food cubes, then you are much more resilient.
You could argue that it was all taking place in Encarta Mind Maze, so it wasn't a real dislocation.
With Freddy Krueger mode checked on, where if it happens to you in the game, it happens to you in real life.
Encarta Mind Maze has that. It's horrible.
I missed that feature.
So many people died.
That's why Encarta's not around anymore.
I wonder if anyone listening to this actually knows what Encarta is.
Nope.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I used it.
It's an old CD-based encyclopedia.
It had a game that tricked you into reading articles.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Hey kids, this is fun.
There's a couple of things that Crace did, which I felt were not very well done.
Like when he reaches for John in the narrow space when they're separated by 10 feet.
Yes. What was he expecting?
I laughed so hard when that happened. I don't know what he thought. Did he think his arm would stretch out?
Am I Stretch Armstrong? Let me check. No, just regular Armstrong.
If you never check, you'll never know.
It's the way he did it once, which is kind of threatening, but then he shuffles to try and reach further as if he's almost there. Well, no, it's about 6 meters.
And he keeps his arm out there as if, well, maybe if I keep going, it'll happen.
That was a weak piece of choreography. If it was even choreographed or directed, I don't know what that would fall under.
I hope it was improvised and the director couldn't bring himself to tell the guy how stupid it looked.
Lani Tupu.
Yeah, that guy.
The other thing, he kills his first in command by gently turning her head.
That's their one weakness.
The crunching sound that was dubbed on almost made it okay, but not really, because it did look terrible. If your head gets hit by a football, you don't just die with a broken neck. Like, he doesn't turn it that much. It's just like a quick jab to the chin.
Without the sound, I wouldn't have even known she died.
I'm not sure how he will explain that to security or whatever they have on the command carrier that deals with dead bodies.
She got hit in the head by a football and then died.
Well, I guess I was just turning and I knocked her chin slightly, and you know how observations are.
I said, "Hey, look out!" And then she turned really quickly and then died.
If only we had neck support structures like bones and stuff. We just got muscle in our necks. One lapse of concentration and it's all over. The sexy shopkeeper was really buff.
And creepy.
Was he that creepy?
I was creeped out by him at first. And then as I saw more of him, I got used to him and his creepiness diminished.
The first thing we see is him trying to sell Zan some magic lube.
Right, that didn't help.
He wasn't being too much of a creep. He was being quite a gentleman, actually.
I don't like when shirtless people try to sell me sex oils. I mean, maybe. Not that that's happened.
I'm about to say, is this a common problem?
All the time, every day.
I know you live in California, but is it really that bad?
There's just so many sex oil salesmen running about shirtless,
Bright red with yellow eyes.
unblinking stares.
I think you're just embarrassed to buy magic sex oil.
Maybe.
I would not blame you for that. It's a little embarrassing. I have some unit news, if you like unit news.
I love unit news. It's the only news I follow.
Oh, because this is all 20 years out of date.
Oh.
It's not really news.
It is if it's new to me.
They said Deca 3 has some kind of search radius. That's the unit news. There you go.
Thank you.
There was another thing that was quite alien, where after John had collapsed, Erin didn't check his pulse. She checked his breathing, but she didn't check his neck or wrist or anything.
Yeah. I'm glad you picked up on that because I didn't.
That's what unit news is about. Making sure that the show isn't secretly just people in costumes.
Oh, speaking of costumes, why is John back in the orange jumpsuit?
Because he has to change clothes. He's not just going to wear one outfit all the time.
Why not?
Because it would smell?
Zan does.
No, she probably just mostly has blue clothes because she's blue. That's her thing.
She doesn't want to clash.
Yeah, it's quite a strong color.
She's a big fan of Picasso's blue period.
Why do you always bring up Picasso's blue period?
Wait, have I said that before?
Yes, 3 or 4 times.
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe I'm obsessed with Picasso's blue period. But that one dude wore that jumpsuit. I bet it smells.
How do you know that guy smells? Just because he's ugly looking?
Everyone
to
smells.
us?
There's no odorless person.
Aaron does not have an odor.
So she says. I disagree.
Well, Dargo disagrees. John had his little dictaphone out at the end, recording his message to DK, who I'm sure you remember.
I don't.
He's the long-haired guy that John was talking to at the start of the show.
Oh, still don't remember.
Well, I'm sure it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's sad. He's thinking he'll get to hear those messages someday.
I don't know if that's what he's thinking.
He wants his personal logs to sound personal, and he uses it as a trick because you sound better when you think you're talking to a friend. I don't know.
It's quite normal. People do Dear Diary, and people talk to gravestones of past friends. But yeah, people write in diaries without anyone ever expecting anyone to ever read it.
So he named his dictaphone
No.
Yep, that's my headcanon now. The dictaphone's name is DK.
Do you have a quote from this show which you would like to share with us?
You called her a warrior. You could not have cut her more deeply.
I'm sure she could have cut her more deeply.
There have to be worse insults.
I understand that that's bad. She doesn't want to be a person who can use violence as a tool. I think she'd rather be a pacifist. Aaron could have said, "Wow, you're a dangerous, unhinged psychopath." That would have been worse, I think. Or maybe it wouldn't have, because that's not so true.
It's not true, and also, I think part of why it cut so deeply is she meant it as a compliment, and it's not at all for her.
This was a bad day for Zan. And Aaron's like, "Good job, you did a good job today. 10 out of 10. Let's move on to the next episode.
Okay,
Would you like to know what it is called?
I would like to know.
It's called DNA Mad Scientist.
All right.
Yep. Reminds me a lot of PK Tech Girl.
That's exactly what I thought of.
Name it after presumably a character that appears. Not even the character's name, just what role they fill.
Yeah. My hope is that some of these titles got mixed up.
The only way to find out is, so let's watch it.
Good plan. I hope I don't get punched so hard I turn into fiery dust like Moldus.
Yeah, you don't need to worry, don't worry. Unless you're an evil wizard, that's unlikely to happen.
It could happen. There's a non-zero chance.
It could not happen. That's not a thing that happens. Other than to wizards, it doesn't happen. Don't worry.
Harry Potter didn't know he was a wizard.
Okay.
I could unknowingly be a wizard.
Yep, there's a non-zero chance. You're right. I hope that doesn't happen to you. Well, I kind of hope it doesn't.
Thanks for your kind of concern.
Yes, I am well known for my almost caring.
I'm almost touched.
Okay, well, let's leave it at that. Goodbye.
Bye.